everyone, we're going to establish our trig identities here, and these are the two problems we're going to do. So since our left-hand side is a little more complicated than the right-hand side, we're going to manipulate these equations to get these answers. Now, for the first one, it helps to know what cosecant is, and I always write that to the side. That's really 1 divided by sine of theta. On this one, I am going to write these in terms of sine and cosine. So I'm going to write cosine of theta, and tan of theta is sine of theta divided by cosine of theta. And then we have plus, let's see, cotan of theta. And what's that? Cotan is cosine of theta divided by sine of theta. Now we want this to equal 1 divided by sine of theta. Now if I'm going to look at this inside right here. I need to get a common denominator. So I'm going to have cosine of theta. And my common denominator, I have to take both of these. So it's going to be cosine of theta times sine of theta. And when you do that, you just do the butterfly and you multiply these two. All right. So because we want the same denominator. So this is going to be sine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta. All right. Sine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta is one of our identities, and it equals 1. So that's what we're going to write. We're going to write cosine of theta. I'm going to go ahead and put this in fraction form. Divided by 1. And this is going to be 1 divided by cosine of theta sine of theta times sine of theta. Now, these cancel. And so when you multiply this through, you're going to get equals 1 divided by sine of theta, which equals 1 divided by sine of theta equals cosecant of theta. This equals cosecant of theta, which is what we wanted. All right, now you might want to try to do the next one by pausing the video and try to practice. So for the next one, we do the same thing. Sine of theta, let's rewrite cotan as cosine of theta divided by sine of theta, and tan of theta is going to be sine of theta divided by cosine of theta. And let's just keep in mind what secant is. Secant is here, and it equals 1 divided by cosine of theta. Just to keep your eye on what we want it to equal. I'm going to go ahead and write secant of theta here, though. Those are the same. All right. So now let's get our common denominator. So we have sine of theta. I'll go ahead and put that in fraction form. Common denominator is sine of theta, cosine of theta, and then you do the little butterfly method for multiplying. So it's going to be cosine squared of theta plus sine squared of theta. Again, this equals 1. So I'm going to substitute. I have sine of theta divided by 1 times 1 divided by sine of theta times cosine of theta. I can cancel out my sines, and I have 1 divided by cosine of theta, which equals secant of theta. So it matches up. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.